Patchy clouds, changing all evening. The mountain half hidden, its color undetermined. Lake water streaked, jagged edges breaking dusk in two. My box of soft pastels lies unopened as we move in from the chill to sip dark wine. Curtains undrawn, light finds me on the high bed at 2:30 a.m. An almost half moon poised in the crossed arms of adjacent hills. A vantage point we can only dream of, uncovered for an hour or two, as it shines on black water and animals freeze in their tracks. Reawakened, I strain to raise my head, this time met by a horizontal band of tangerine, outdoing the sky. Hills, now silhouettes. I hear movement in the battle of elements that steams the lake. Each white wisp a character in the play of a dawn I cannot keep up with, but may glimpse before the curtain falls. Fair enough. We lie together for the nth time, skin to skin, a suspended animation of runaway lives. We'd like to go back to the place where life was nothing but where it was. Sparks flying through a brilliant Irish air, burning up our plans, interrupting idyllic views for ourselves. Instead, we give in to the long night, safe in our memories, newly aligned to unpredictable purpose, old mysteries. We awaken to distant piano notes played by our son, Gershwin's preludes, and disregard considerations of what comes next. I recall an old acquaintance who read my palm at a costume party and try to connect my life with her remarks. This afternoon, I study old pictures to find my father's hands. I discover the long, relaxed fingers that belong to the type water, like mine. Once, as a 10-year-old, they made me hold them out before an audience of great uncles and aunts. He has his father's hands, my mother said. There was magic where I couldn't tell. My 3-year-old has hands like mine. Let me read this, I say, taking one and opening his palm. I study the lines, trying to remember what the old friend said. But there is only a jumble of things I cannot tell. Repetitions of lines growing from ancestors as unknown to us as those to come. What does it say? He asks. I don't know, I offer. But I know we must study our hands, to know our intertwined lives, work that must be completed, and scars of what we have wrought. Someday, she said, she would send her brother cookies in America. She would weave the world's largest blanket from scraps of clothing and bed lining to hold the cookies in. And so she sat, and so she sat, and so she sat, and so she sat, from 80 to 89. At first lucid enough to remember thread lines, then brittle as biscotti she had lined up for years above anyone's reach. She would reach down for string and tie knots around her knuckles, gather enough cloth to hold her afloat above the frightful ocean. She would come saying, "It's almost done," even as they read the letter again to her, and no tears welled. But she kept on sewing. There is love heaped on the dried grasses, swirled, frozen, at the end of the Bloomfield Bridge. Love lost among the staggered row homes, laid in their brick and poured into front steps. Love lies buried along the riverbeds where blast furnaces burned. It rises through wooded hills to hilltop communities, settles, moves, and is moved again. Only the will of nothing defies it, that which allows no work, no change, nothing in place of nothing, when all stops but the trickle of rain tearing down landscapes. When love blows through the winding hills of Pittsburgh, it comes to no rest, but pins everything there in place, conducting voices and the souls of working hands, as willfully as the doldrums of indifference. In 2 days, there may be snow, dark over the black waters of the Allegheny and Monongahela. All night it will fall, starting in upper layers of pre-colonial green, down through the levels of coal furnace soot and sulfuric steam, then ending in a flickering that confuses even those who are asleep in their ancestors' dreams. On waking, they will not know what age it is, or what fills the morning air. Will it be candlelight commingling from the boughs of Christmas trees, or the sweet breath of young lovers kissing in the cold? One thing is certain, there will never be clear days of nature's pure intent. They will be soiled with ours, and the snow will fall this side white, that side gray, leaving wide spaces amid flakes, a view we piece together, a time we break away. I forgive you, Barbara Sobchak, my great-great-grandmother, for smothering your twin infants at 53 years old, heading from postpartum depression straight into Alzheimer's, and no one to show you the way. I forgive you, great-granddad Antanas, for having 15 kids and then checking out with a bottle. I forgive you, Nonu Saba, for not paying enough attention to my grandmother, whom I love. I forgive my uncle for selling his artist soul to commerce to raise my brotherly cousin. I forgive my uncle's brother for thinking he could save us in war, for now I cannot speak to him. I forgive my mother's mother for withdrawing into silence, then speaking only in religion. I forgive my father for dying. I forgive my mother for having to raise us only as a woman. And I forgive myself for heading down the weed path of words to speak in a language they will not understand, one that may not be forgiven. Don't give me flowers bordering the yard in colors too pure to believe. Don't give me sunlight unobstructed by inclement weather, shining on grass as green as the first living day. Don't bring me overwhelming scents, nor the velvety petals of earth's desire. I'd rather sit in a moonlit garden of box springs and rusting cars. A flattened pillow here and there. Abandoned electric stoves and smudgy dial phones. Maybe a lost earring that tells a story. And my grandfather's shoes. I'd feel more akin to these things, and to those who made them. I'll laugh at the perfect garden, curse it down, before those velvety petals take me in, and earth holds me silently in the last laugh. On the way home, sticks fallen everywhere, branches fallen, dangling from trees, a scatter of living leaves, green, in patches along the roads, dust, dirt, debris, a clear wind fed by a hurricane parked far away. Wires are down, laundry down. All day we are remembering. Bright sky filled with wandering wind that came while we were away, busy, planning our remembering. Now our landscape is changed. Buildings are down, emotions down. Our places of busyness blown over the globe. This heavy, heartfelt wind circling back to us, saying, nothing ever leaves this world. Tonight I will write a beautiful poem. It will rest like a mourning dove on a crooked branch without leaves. It will be a mirror to my fine limbs and startled face. My accomplishments will find fault with its grandiose plan. Street cats will stop and look up as it passes by, a long shadow owned by nothing. A humming silence will transmit it to bloodlines of other ages.